Okay, this message is not going to concern anyone and everyone. This is not a Queen of Swords message. Let me get that out of the way right now because I know I catch myself in the act of whatever at any given point in time. Because why? We're shapeshifters. Okay, so get that out of the way right now. Like I said, this is not going to concern anyone and everyone. It'll concern more or less the right people. I am not just on here on this platform just for attention's sake or to diddly daddly, so to speak, or waste my time or other people's time or anything like that. Um, Mind you, yes, we are all human. Nobody's perfect, right? At the end of the day, we're all what? We're always here. We're here to learn. Okay. So, I don't know why, I guess. Okay, so apparently there's people watching, whether it's myself or another person, or there are investigators watching. So whether it's my situation or other people's situations. So I'm going to get that out there right now. Give me a minute. I'm going to turn on the light so people can see what I wrote down here. This notebook is practically filled, yes. Um just so people know, you readers that have been constantly, if you have been feeding off of a quote unquote Empress in reverse, and if it's been indeed 144 on the clock, indeed pertaining to myself, me, i.e., being one of the energies that's there that it applies to, or i.e., you starting your build always off of my coordinates, because let's face it, that's what readers have been doing this entire time, really, if you think about it. Yeah, so, the allusion to narcissism and whatever here. Oh yeah, we're gonna get into some stuff here. This is all intellectual stuff. It's all being honest, speaking truths or whatever, right? I watch different readers, yes, all the time. So like I said, two people that have been viewing me as an Empress in reverse are refusing to truly acknowledge me. They're not trying to. They're not people that either they need one more healing to do, number one, or number two, they're not trying to embrace their inner child, and number three, they don't have all the information with all parties involved in any sort of situation to see all parties entirely clearly. Okay, so anyway, give me a minute here, bear with me. Okay. Some people need to look up the definition of Black Widow and what actually a Black Widow is. It is, I know, or another reader mentioned 333 on the clock, that thou shall not judge. So, basically more or less like a sort of commandment via God. But if you have reason and probable cause not to like someone, that's something for people to think about, right? Consider myself kind of like a good basis or starting point in regards to, I would say, consciousness at large in my own right, yeah. Because it also has to do with my coordinates. Yeah. So, I don't know why people seem to keep making me out to be an Empress in reverse. Because here, I'm gonna show some people stuff. I'm gonna show some stuff. Um, like I said, people are judging you from afar and or i.e. up close constantly via whom and what other sources or i.e. outside sources is correct. If anyone in their right frame of mind truly wants to get to know said individual or individuals, you have to do what? Actually communicate with them one-on-one, correct? Okay. Like I said, nobody's perfect. Nobody, we're all human, all this kind of stuff, right? And there's a lot of stuff going on, right? Yeah. That's an understatement. So, anyone that wants to keep viewing me as an empress in reverse, I will happily keep throwing this in your face because, quite frankly, you are not people necessarily entirely in the business to think outside of the box in your quote unquote building methods from an individual creator standpoint. You're still working within a certain frame or point of reference, i.e. to build off of. Mind you, I'm not going to say that it doesn't do its job and that you shouldn't still utilize it. But what I'm saying is it is not per se from an independent creator standpoint. That's self-explanatory, right? Okay, moving on. So it's not going to necessarily, it's like looking at people in pieces and parts and then compiling them all together rather than starting your build like that, rather than just starting to build from like a completely blank slate, basically, which I got a point right now to touch on this stuff. Yeah. Now I gotta get back to the page I was at. Oh my god. Like I said, this is not going to concern anyone and everyone. When I post, yes, it's serious stuff. It's not just, it deals with serious stuff, yes. Not just, oh, let's just hop on here for attention, because I know maybe for a period of time before I was doing things more or less for attention, or people were perceiving me like that. Granted, I'm not going to say that there's not truth in it, but yeah, you're appearing that way because you're not being heard. So something for people to think about there, because I know it's kind of like this. They look to always judge you or judge other people, so they have building blocks. So in other words, it's that defining reality and sort of this black and white frame of point of reference and frame of mind, because it creates building blocks and sort of like stepstones. Granted, mind you, it's not to say that at times they aren't relevant. Yeah. So it's, you place things where they go and at whatever times and whatever, yeah. I gotta go back. So let me go find where I was left off. Give me a minute. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. Anyway, it's one of those things where, place things where they go in real life time, and things are situational and whatever. They all got their own styles and ways that work best for them in building, and they do it in ways that are, however it's meant to be is meant to be, because of however things are moving in real life time. Yeah, 911 on the clock. So I did a doodle here. So readers, this is timeless, mind you, and it's people figure out more or less who I'm referring to, I'm sure. Yeah, I have my own way of, I guess, understanding things or piecing things together or making sense of things or whatever. It's like another way to look at things, basically. So you got three main energies here, so of people building off of. So i.e. myself, Joe, and his grandma, right? Nancy. Okay. So you think of it like this is just one example, because all the readers, they do their own way of building, and things take shape and form in real life time as they should and however they need to, from all different mathematical angles. Yes, I mean, you have the Google computer, quantum computer chandelier. So I've been able to witness how a person is building in real life time, where it's like a chandelier of tarot cards hanging down from the ceiling. And I've been able to see, while watching a reader or readers, this is past, present, and future, timeless, like I said. I've been able to witness in real life time it taking on that specific shape and form, or whatever different specific shapes and forms. Yeah, I know it's like different at any given point in time. It depends on the reader and the read or whatever. So anyway, so this guy that I just watched briefly, I'm gonna have to go back to. I picked up on this sort of shape stuff going on, where he's using three main people as like a point of reference, and then building off this other stuff, putting this other stuff on top of it. Yeah. So there's something to be said about, so main energies, people building, taking on this shape here, and then it kind of like going up like that, and then putting this other energies and stuff, layering it on top of that. So people watching and investigators, right? So on the topic and the subject of people stealing a house, yes, people can easily run into the what is that? Can easily get themselves into trouble. Yeah, because they're trying to it can go one of two ways really quick and really easily, with people trying to frame people. Yeah, or people playing dirty. Yeah, but hold up. So it's basically, what's going on is there's a situation that we're in presently, and from a legal standpoint, right? Now, mind you, I am not a legal expert. It's not to say that I can't um, you know, learn more, or get more under my belt, right? Okay. No, I've never got into the situation I'm in presently. Yes, it's a sticky situation, because why? It involves, inheritance, a house, property, all those things, right? A car, and money, right? Okay. So it's an issue. So mind you here, it's on the topic of people stealing a house, or it's perceived as people stealing a house. Now, inheritance and doing the work is at play here as well. So not only that, what else is at play? The family pitching in to help, other than me and Joe. So the family has not pitched in to help the quote-unquote old elderly woman, other than me and Joe is correct. To give people an idea, okay? Yes, this has to do with the situation I'm in presently, and people understand. And no, I'm not in Queen of Swords energy right now, like I was in the past day or so, or whatever. So we are shapeshifters, right? Okay. So the grandma wanted us here, right? Okay. The thing is, with her, she's able to walk around on her own. She just doesn't want people to see her, so she moves around sneaky, is correct. We had found out information from Liz in regards to how she would behave and how she acted at hospice, is correct, versus like with us. Yeah. So I know I've noticed a reoccurring theme of people wanting me to be the bad guy, and look like the bad guy, but not only that, also keep making me an empress in reverse. Yeah, when I've actually been consistently working on stuff in my own way and or ways, but for some reason to different people or whomever place it where it goes at any given point in time, do not consider whatever I've been doing or working on as like quote unquote work or something. Yeah, it's very strange and bizarre because it's like I've actually been consistent, like especially when it comes to online. Actually, for example, I'll just use that first and foremost here. So when it comes to online, when it comes to getting involved in the collective, when it comes to making sure to watch people and learn different things, whether at times I want to take a break still, or I'm not in the mood for certain people or whatever, fair to say, right? Okay. But it's like I am still consistently going through the motions of taking action, basically. So, granted, mind you, even you going through autism or your ADHD or ADD, because we all know that comes from being induced by fluoride or lack of B vitamins, different stuff like that, or whatever, right? So, and lack of chitosan, so you got to remove neurotoxins out of your body. Some people, and Lyme disease being a big contributor. So, yeah, it's like I've been doing my own work in my own time at my own pace, but on a consistent, regular basis. So I'll use myself as an example. Mind you, everybody's different. Like I said, everything is situational, right? Right? We're always shape shifting. But it's like people are trying to build off of this black and white, the illusion thing. So you draw a circle and put a line through the middle. With people, right? Because they want to control how people are seen and viewed versus the actuality and reality. Because there's a difference between using that schematic to reveal a truth, number one. Number two, there's a difference between just using that schematic to just build off of for the sake of, so you have building content versus truth. Because if you are just focused on fixating on building off of people and only looking at them as any walking illusion of black and white, right? You're not fully acknowledging them as a multidimensional being. Because why? You're trying to diminish them and pigeonhole them as what? First and foremost, this person that is only to be perceived and used as this sort of illusion, walking, talking, black and white illusion duality object. That's not actually acknowledging an individual or individuals. It actually goes for anyone. Because I don't think anyone in existence, if you ask me at this point in time, can be reduced to just illusion in and of itself or just black and white logic. Because it's true. So what I'm saying is actually a fair, accurate assessment. So it's kind of like you're trying to just control how an individual is viewed and seen, like i.e. with the statement of, because you don't like someone covertly, which is weirdo ass shit. Yeah, they like to make it seem like you don't take care of yourself, but yet critical of other people. Yeah, I just did a detox foot bath like the other night. Yeah, nobody tells me what to do with stuff. Mind you, you're still needing to get healing energies from people. So yeah, you'll spaz out and need to listen to different people at any given point in time because you genuinely need the healing energy. It's not that you're stupid. It's not that you're not taking care of yourself and being critical of other people per se. It's just you're needing that healing energy, that extra little freaking boost to kind of push you in the right direction. No, it doesn't make you stupid. And no, it doesn't make you a overly critical person of other people. And no, it doesn't mean that you're not taking care of yourself or you don't care to take care of yourself or all those things. 2020 on the clock. So I'm going to say it's safe to say that if you are genuinely a person that has God spark in your meat suit, that basically means that you have actually, despite everything, despite it all, that you actually have been working on yourself on a consistent basis. Whether or not you've been at your 100% whatever, like full operating capacity. But yeah, I know I could say, if you just using myself as a point of reference, I can say and safely say and say it's safe to say that I can use myself as a basic point of reference instead of somebody building like this. Because somebody building like this is not in the position to acknowledge you as multidimensional beings. It's in the position to just use you as two-dimensional beings just for the sake of you being able to have something to build off of for content to put on top. Yeah, so this statement of they like to make it seem like you don't take care of yourself, but yet critical of other people. I know for a fact, I can't speak for other people, but I can speak for myself. Also, yes, I'm on the cusp of Pisces and Aries. So don't think that we can't figure out that you are indeed talking about myself in your read, or I happen to be one of the energies. Don't think that I can't figure it out, and don't think that other people can't figure it out either, because you have to learn and face the fact that you are indeed dealing with multidimensional, cerebral, primordial beings in existence. And yes, I know I'm one of the main three beings that of the primordials, 2222. So no, you can't play me for a fool and think that we won't pop our heads in on a need be basis when need be. Because, you know, obviously you're taking your work seriously, so that means what? That other people are going to take their work seriously as well. So in the end of the day, yes, it's going to go hand in hand. Because why? It's supposed to. Because of what? Hammurabi laws? Yeah, readers, this is timeless yet again. Readers are trying to keep me Empress in reverse and or have for the sake of building. Yeah. So instead of like acknowledging the fact that you have been consistent, instead of acknowledging the fact that you're multidimensional, place it where it goes. It's, they mix things up even in one read. Okay. So despite that, instead of like acknowledging that stuff, it's like, okay, let's see what we can get. Try to milk the cow as much as possible and whatever, and see what we can fit in a read at any given point in time. Yeah, that too can also make it sloppy. Yeah, sloppy meets strategic. I know there's a fine line there. So yeah, people trying to make it seem like I don't take care of myself. Well, explain me in supplements. Explain me in constant mineral water and shilajit water, and then all of a sudden doing lemon water again, or inner vitality water, or adding electrolytes or lemons, or adding collagen peptides in my coffee and coconut oil consistently, and proper ghee, grass-fed ghee. Yeah, some of you people are just too, this is for readers, yes. Some of you people are just too fixated on having building content material to truly see people. Yeah, that is a safe assessment for me to say. Now, mind you, I'm not claiming to be an expert in any right. I am really more or less just an embodiment of quintessential, which that was already made known by who? Steam powered giraffe in the collective, and I'm sure people already have known who the hell Omega is and Apollo, and i.e. Eros and Alpha. This is not even me tooting my own horn. Just in case people aren't aware, Eros is the firstborn is correct. Some people need to read Anunnaki since they've been so stuck on playing favorites and having a bias in the collective. Mind you, I can understand what they mean because someone embodying the scales and balance versus myself. But last I checked, I didn't come into the collective to play those same games like other said individuals have with me. The unfortunate, sad truth. So, some people need to read Zachariah Sitchin. I have a book and it talks about actually who's really the father of who, and people would actually be quite surprised. But they're so stuck on me as a person or the feminine and viewing the feminine as this or that and all this shit, not realizing how much of the masculine she embodies, and rightfully so, in, having needing to in a healthy manner, in a healthy way, right? Whomever needs to hear that from me, so people can't act like I don't know and all this stuff. So those people in the back that have been quietly following and gang stalking or lurking, creeping, or whatever for God knows how long, yeah, of course you can be seen. And no, I'm not going to get into people's business, and I'm still going to respect other beings' sacred spaces, is correct. And I'm not here to rehash anything that really doesn't need to be rehashed either. Because the whole INFJ Sentinel thing, to whom needs to hear that? So, like I said, this has got a mix of information. So, it's to whom people take what resonates, they take what they need to hear, and leave what doesn't. So, the family pitching in to help other than me and Joe. So, no, this is the problem that we're coming in here when it comes to what? The house? Now, what is that? This is jungle intuitive here with people stealing a house. I'll gladly say someone's name and feet. Yeah. And this is what I picked up on his building style from a recent read that I haven't even finished watching. Yeah. So this meets Ninja Tarot, a recent Aries read. I want to say it's on inheritance and or very jealous people. So me, I'm on the fence, I would say more or less in a sense indifferent, because I have known that I am more or less like this third party or like outsider type person. Yeah, because it's like I'm not directly related like in blood or anything like that, right? Okay. So the problem that arises in here is because of the will was written in a specific way, and basically, in other words, how the will was written, apparently from the information that I have gathered and or heard, this is more or less word of mouth right now, is that it wasn't written and set up, because from what I heard, she wrote it or something after she got sick or ill or something. That's what I heard. Having experience. So they're running into the issue and dilemma because of how she had written stuff that's causing issue, because basically, in other words, it only leaves Joe with, I don't know, what is it? He told me a car and $10,000. But I've also heard things when it comes to stuff being split 3 ways. And I've also heard that the house is under his brother's name, which is correct. But between Joe and his brother, they're both what is that? The name for it, yeah, I'm like, it's on the tip of my tongue. Like authorized users or something like that. There's another name for it, so forgive me, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm still working through like memory retention issues and stuff because of the ADD, ADHD, autism stuff. Yeah, that's what I have. I had to explain that to the elderly lady because she basically, I know God forces things to the forefront, so this is why, in a sense, even though I will get triggered and lash out or act up or be dramatic or make a scene, that's part of being an empath too, that a lot of people still in this day and age don't understand, let alone actually care to acknowledge or understand to begin with. Yeah, because you're also dealing with people that are just mentally wired differently, or they're stubborn, stuck in their ways, and they're just from a different time period. Yeah. So like explaining to her that the fact that I have autism, ADHD, ADD or whatever. Yeah, and just like being honest and basically saying like, no, it's like we're just wired differently. So as she's just trying to fixated on just testing my memory or whatever, it was like, that triggered me and caused me to like, act, I don't know, like act up or like make a scene or whatever. Yeah, because it's like too, it is, and it's actually is rude. Yeah. But I know it's like more or less, it's like in the end of the day, it's like I let bygones be bygones and just move the fuck on. Yeah, because I know how God works in mysterious ways and brings whatever is in your subconscious to the forefront. Yeah. Because basically, in other words, it's like manipulating, because God manipulates actually. Manipulating people to speak up on things that they wouldn't otherwise have spoken up on if they weren't triggered. Yeah, so it's like God uses people to do that. Yeah, hence all the chaos and stuff. So like people have to stop just, I guess, like they're still acclimating and adjusting and getting used to just not just like holding things against people so much, and not being so judgmental or holding grudges too much. But yeah, the problem comes in because apparently what I'm realizing is this is a karmic family and they're greedy. So greed runs deep in Joe's family, it looks like. So with any of them. So yeah, it's like a messy, sticky situation because of how the inheritance was written and the fact that me and Joe have come to help someone over the other family, but the grandma wanted us here. Yeah. Um she liked the idea of a healer, but her jealousy has gotten in the way. So that's why people, to help people understand, there's always like a feeling of anger and jealousy when I'm around her, and it's only around her. So that's why I've distanced myself for her. It's like basically more or less it's like out of respect to her and myself, so that there's no sort of like it's respecting each other's energy and sacred space. So it's like whether you it's like you can have love for someone, but it doesn't mean you like them. Yeah, so it's just kind of like you're just learning to like coexist together because you're forced to and you have to. Yeah, I know. It's because you're dealing with people that are from like a completely different time, and let's face it, matrix reality, so they're just kind of like they just come and reincarnate to basically tire out a seven deadly sin. And then what they do is which for her is greed. So that's why people need to look up she's the classic Black Widow, like the epitome of it. Yeah, that's also why we bump heads too. And the fact that too, like I explained, I had a best friend, childhood friend named Cheryl. I haven't talked to in a while. We basically more or less grew apart. It's like it is what it is. But she's in her 70s, closer to this elderly woman's age. And basically I just told her like straight up, like the truth, because that's what God forces us to do. Yeah, it's not going to be always pretty to hear. But, yeah, I mean, she's nothing like my friend, but it's like, I can't expect her to be, you know? Yeah, so it's kind of like there is a gentleman in the collective that already pointed out how they've been putting up this facade and act like they're such in ways, but they're really not. Yeah. Yeah, another reader mentioned someone being a witch, and then something else. There was another reader, I forget the name, mentioning in dem days they be greedy. Yeah, so it's like you're dealing with like a dinosaur or some shit. It's a type of like dinosaur. Like you think of like a if you like cookie cutter people basically, so like they're people that their whole identity basically is like a specific timeline basically. Yeah, so you think of like the 1950s or whatever. So yeah, she's able to walk around. She just doesn't want people to see her. She's like sneaky. Yeah, she like a snake, moves around like a snake. Another gentleman in a collective, he goes by Dove something, I think Dove and Serpent. He mentioned I kind of had to gently part the ways. Yeah, and like actually start pushing someone away. Which I knew he was referring, it was an Aries read referring to an elderly woman. Yeah. To give people an idea, because people have been, like I said, dead set on making me the bad guy. Yeah, I slowed down on Amazon a lot. So yeah, people aren't trying to acknowledge, like I said, they're not trying to approach things from a higher self perspective or God, or look at you in comparison to the bloodline that you came from or your upbringing. So they're not practicing humility and understanding, because for one, they don't know you as a person, number one. Number two, they're not trying to get to know you. So basically, number three, they actually have no business passing judgment on you. But if they can't get past those three basic concepts of one, two, and three, first and foremost, then you're basically just dealing with people that are basically a waste of time to deal with to begin with. So if they can't get one, two, and three down right, first and foremost is correct. Yeah. So those are just people that are one track minded, that the only thing they have on their minds is to, get their get back at you or take revenge or backstab you or stuff like that. Right. Though I mean, I guess if people in those energies at whatever given point in time, if that's the indeed energy that they are embodying, like, yeah, you can subdue them basically, and pigeonhole them, and basically figure them out, yeah, very easily. But that's not to say that that's the case for anyone and everyone. Yeah, so yeah, you have to be mindful where you put the energies, and the fact that and how you build. And also too, you can easily be looked at and deemed as a quote unquote hater very quickly, and like someone trying to frame a person and or persons, if you are not in the business to understand them first and foremost, number one, and number two, acknowledge them as a multidimensional being, and number three, also understand their upbringing and the fact that they're breaking generational curses and working through even bad habits, so to speak, or vices or dysfunctional karmic families and upbringing that they came from. Yeah, so it's like you can't actually just pigeonhole to really too many people, really, place things where they go. I know things are situational, but especially this one of people not taking care of themselves. Yeah, because there's an illusion to it. Now, I'm not going to say that some people may not indeed take care of themselves more than another person and or persons. But like I said, like, for example, with the grandma, she had already been drinking, what is that? Ensure. Okay, like, as an example, like, she was already doing that on herself, on her own. Yeah, so it's like, it's the illusion of people not taking care of themselves. So, like, even for her, for instance, she had been doing that. Like, how long on and off or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, it's like I'm using it as another example or whatever. Whether I necessarily like someone or not, like I said, is irrelevant. I'm going to speak my mind. It is what it is. I have a big mouth. I know you think of an Irish tinker, stuff like that. Yes, I am Irish and English, to those that aren't aware of that fact. Among Native American and Mexican and Hispanic and stuff. Yeah, a bunch of different things. So anyway, yeah, I slowed down on Amazon a lot. So that's actually an accomplishment for me, especially in comparison to you have to think about how far a person has come in comparison to the point of hitting rock bottom in their downward spiral, which it looks like to me you have two of them. If you want to truly I would say for myself anyway, to each their own, right? But for me, I had two of them because the one I had at the time I met my current husband, Joseph, which was in 2017. Yeah, and I was at a downward spiral at that point, so your darkest hour, your darkest point. That was the first one. The second one I would say is safe to say towards the end before my mother passed away. Yeah, so about the time that I lost my last job due to COVID, which was at a matcha ice cream place, and I want to say I wasn't there probably more than a month, give or take. Yeah, so it was like a temp job, more like, yeah, I don't know, temp to hire, something like that. 4141, I haven't seen that before. Yeah. So, yeah, let's see, when people have given me permission. Yeah, so people have given me permission to spend recently. Or on and off, they have. There's times where, yes, I would say I overstayed my welcome. Yeah, like a guy has mentioned. But, and I know for a fact, too, it's like I've gotten too comfortable. But I had started picking up on that, like, a little bit later on, I guess, on my own. Yeah. And I was actually surprised I got so comfortable or whatever. Yeah, that's why I was like starting to think like, man, I need to like do something about this. Yeah. So, yeah, when people so that second time around that downward spiral, going back to what I was talking about, um that was when, like I said, right before my mom passed away. So me and my mom were basically like, I had mentioned I was like concerned. So people were actually trying to make me out to be the bad guy with her then. Yeah, so there's been actually a reoccurring theme of it, even up until presently, of making me the bad guy. Yeah, so like people genuinely hate me, I guess, which is weird because I don't know these people. Yeah. So to give people an idea, it's like different people and complete strangers. So I'll use that example with my mom, Mother Maya, Mother Mayan, Lyrian, Lyrian, Lion of Judah, right? So she was the white light, and so is myself. So there's two beings of white light, hence Lazarus. You think of Yeshua and Lazarus, or Christos, twins, and Lazarus. Yeah, it also has to do with Manichaean stuff too, which some people are maybe not be aware of that or informed. I chose Manichaean middle path, to those that are curious. I'm not like a devout, so I wouldn't say I'm like a devout religious person, but to me it's kind of like if you can prove something, then yeah. Yeah, it's like, going by the facts and logic and reasoning and esoteric knowledge, really. Yeah, and then in the laws of nature and in God, so then everything just falls into place afterward, and you find where you fit and where you're supposed to go and whatever. Yeah, I know. I mean, it can vary and differ from person to person. That's fine too. Yeah, part of being creator, but yeah. Yeah, I know. I still get a kick of people following along, like making your Berea their religion versus like esoterics and other stuff. Yeah, they are different, I noticed. Anyway, it's part of that hood hood mentalities kind of stuff and what comes with it. Though I do understand when they have the white Santa Maria or Reaper. Yeah, and or White Death or Angel of Death. I know that's like the rising phoenix. 100 every 138 years, I know. Yeah, and then the devil and the angel. So that's I understand why they worship all that stuff, whereas like other people in the collective are more just like, yeah, the ladies that embody that like stereotypical, like, I don't know, broad next door that's like snitch turned opportunist, I know. Yeah, they have more of like what just wanting to enforce karma this and karma that rather than from the Vesca Pisces standpoint, which is correct. Yeah, then they're not embracing their inner child really, if at all. Yeah, and they're obviously not unicorns either. It's obvious. But anyway, moving on. Um, like I said, yeah, it's a sticky situation. I'm going off tangent here. Yeah, I slowed down on Amazon a lot, which is true. There's been times where yes, they gave me permission, and there's times where I would keep my word to things, whereas there's other times, I would take advantage or overstay my welcome. Yeah, it's kind of interesting when how much you have to like stay up on your toes because it's like from anyone and everyone at any given point in time, you are constantly being watched, investigated, and judged. Yes. So getting reacclimated to your new environment, yeah. So, yeah, when people have given me permission to spend recently, yeah, so it's kind of like I have to be mindful, I guess, to know when to, I guess, just not take people's word up on things. Yeah, something like that, you know. So learning to assert myself and make sure to put my foot down where and when needed still. Yeah, training wheels. So, yeah, is it me or are people trying to make me the bad guy in present situation and or have on and off? Yes. And Joe too, they've been doing that with him. There are readers that I'm well aware, they'll know who they are, and yes, they're female of different backgrounds, that secretly apparently want Joe and or Gemini King's nuts. They're very, very obvious actually, and I don't know. I don't even know if they realize it, but they are. Yes, people can easily fall into trap of framing people and a hater. Okay. So more on the grandma situation. I've offered better milk. She didn't want it in the past. So Strauss milk, the cream top, because I researched, like I said, I'm not a licensed practitioner or doctor, but it's like I do just the bare minimum and enough to at least be able to do like basic stuff. So, yeah, so like in recommending specific things, yeah. So like the better milk, so the Strauss milk, the cream top, or brown cow milk or goat milk. Yeah, and there is a book, I want to say it's by Kate Deering, that talked about the differences in milk and really breaks down all the details with that. Yeah, so it's like, I try to do at least enough research to be able to at least help somebody out with like some little basic things or something. Yeah, and even you just giving people stuff can 4848 can like help them out or whatever, or like put them on the right track or something like that. So despite me not necessarily liking someone, it's like I'm still trying. I tried the Shilajit. I put it in her water the other night, and I actually showed her on the internet pictures of stuff, so like people didn't just have to take my word for it. And I learned about Shilajit from Instagram posts like many, many, many years ago, and then I learned about Shilajit from 3D to 5D consciousness with Nyla. Yeah, over the past few years. Yeah, so it's like she basically had Joe like toss it out, I guess. She only had like a sip, I guess, and like had him toss it out. Yeah, and it's just minerals, that's all it is. Mineral water. So I figured out that she's drinking too much water because she's trying to find something that should already be in the water that's not there. Other supplements I've offered, but people just don't want it. Yeah, and I've offered herbal tea because she's been constipated. She didn't want it. I have left out mineral oil, but I haven't, I've said, oh yeah, mineral oil, but, coconut oil I left out, multivitamin, different stuff like that. Yeah, but it's like, it doesn't mean that the person will accept it from you for whatever reasons. So it's also, you're dealing with narcissists where they take offense, and also someone that's jealous, basically, apparently, of me. So yeah, the fact that I'm knowledgeable in things, I guess it's like, like I said, they like the idea of a healer, but they don't necessarily want a healer because you're dealing with narcissists and the jealousy. Yeah, and someone from another time period. So, shedding light on things. So, this is timeless. I'll repeat it again. Shedding light on things, but also trying to make people look bad and control how they are seen, because that's where they are able to build. Wanting people to be seen in black and white rather than a multidimensional being. Because, like I said, because that's where they're able to build, and that's where they're able to get building blocks. So it's like black and white do logic building blocks versus like God, basically. So I guess maybe you could say those two things are like going head to head right now. So my thing is with me, I'm more or less indifferent when it comes to the house. Joe's the one that wants the house. I know him and his grandma have been talking stuff or whatever. Yeah, it's like it's like me. I could go either way because I know it's just like a sticky situation, basically, from what I'm gathering. Yeah, and I don't know if someone's wanting, if it's also something going on with the grandma where she's changing her mind on things. So that more or less, in the end of the day, that has to do with her and nobody else. Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's kind of like people can only be mad so much with you if you took someone up on their offer and earned your stripes and proved yourself to be the person to rightfully inherit something over another person. So, that's basically what happens is you can only be so mad and upset with that person or persons, because at the end of the day, if you're not willing to do the work that they're doing, then you actually have no business in complaining or quote unquote being greedy. Yeah, if you ask me from a reasonable, logical, sensible, common sense standpoint, not not a standpoint based off of anything else but that. Yeah. I think that's about it. Yeah. Yeah, there's times where I do food and it's fine. Apparently people, or another reader clarified in a past read, apparently people were expecting me to just be like a Stacy or a Sally next door, and I'm not. Expecting me to be submissive and subservient, and I'm not. You're also dealing with privileged, like I said, privileged narcissistic people, the me mentalities, and or they've lived such a set specific life that they're really more or less never going to understand you. So you're coming to the conclusion and making peace with that and just accepting that's just who they are, how they are, and just leaving things alone. Yeah, so that's where the Christ consciousness comes in, and God and whatever, his two sons or whatever. Yeah, so, yeah, that some of the extra stuff or whatever, it's just she's too stubborn and stuck in her ways. She's also, offering extra care to help somebody out because of their health problems, but she has refused with certain things because She's stubborn, set in her ways. It's been clarified. Kareem's spirit works in the collective. He already exposed people, whether it's myself and or a bunch of other people in the collective at any given point in time, that someone is selective. Hola. About what they choose to eat and not eat. So basically, they don't have. They're not always actually going by logic and reason. They're going by like something basically petty. You're acknowledging it's not that feel sorry for an elderly person thing anymore. It's that that's a being in and of itself, operating on its own fruition, that chose to reincarnate and set out to tire out greed or a specific 7 deadly sin, because let's face it, we all have to in our own ways, and that their role is specific and they're content and happy with that. And the fact that too, they're also content and happy with just the idea of the healer, not actually embracing the healer or wanting the healer. Yeah, it's just you're just a servant, butler, maid, caretaker type person. Yeah, like you're not supposed to know things that they don't. You're not supposed to even be able to level with them, but yet they expect you to level with them and expect you to read their minds and make up their minds for them. But at the same time, they don't want you to be too smart or so smart on like a doctor level, because they don't want you to know things that they don't, basically. And they can't keep projecting their whatever. I know I had issues with prejudices towards this person, but she must have had issues with prejudices against me too. So they can't project the European, like, I don't know, the remnants of the slave master days or something. They can't project at the Mexican anymore that the Mexican is just a janitor and that's it, or a laborer. Yeah, so they're like mad about that too. So, on the topic of the people stealing a house, so contrasting with Jungle Intuitive talking about this meets Ninja Tarot and Aries read recently. So, to those that are curious, yeah, I've been paying attention. Like I said, I'm a third party caught up in this mix, this mess, or whatever. I wasn't even sure if I was for 100% staying in a marriage to begin with, let alone a relationship. So to give people an idea, because of what I've gone through. A little bit known to some people, so I also know that even for that person's friends or family or whatever, I'll always be the enemy or odd one out because of that fact, because it's more or less I'm the one exposing anyone and everyone at any given point in time too. So yeah, I've already gotten used to and accustomed and acclimated to that fact. Yes, Joe and I are both black sheeps, but we're like ever so slightly different from one another, because it's a Heyoka versus more of a classic malignant narcissist / incel type person. Yeah. So, I don't, like I said before, I'll repeat it one more time and end this out. I don't care to be subdued to a black and white logic, because people like to just build off of me and rather dismiss me and subdue me to just this person that doesn't take care of themselves when I do and have. That you actually have no business in subduing someone that you're not genuinely trying to see from a multidimensional perspective. Not only that, you're showing that you're a hater, and not only that, you're also showing that you don't understand the sloth and the illusion that comes therein from the sloth as well, or 7 deadly sins, or dealing with primordial elements in the mix, or dealing with going from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, hence into the golden age, which is a very big book I have yet to tackle and read. Was it Israeli guy? I know, teachings of Aleister Crowley in there probably, and all kinds of other stuff. yeah, esoteric knowledge and whatever, dealing with the 13 disciples of Christ or whatever, archangels and stuff. Well, I heard there's some people need to check out ebh.club and Quantum Shift. There's the original tribes. There's 12 original tribes of the angelics. I have written on a poster. I have to bring stuff out again. Besides what the 5959, what the pyramid actually looks like now, and the layers that are within the pyramid. And it's not, like the Anunnaki had originally created it, was to be more just like humanity as these workers and slaves. So it's redoing that, and not just like what straight up new world order too and whatnot. And I know there is a reader that did a read, and I actually didn't click on it because it had to do with the new world order, and I caught her off guard because apparently she thought I was stupid. And I caught her off guard by actually not listening to something. Yeah, this was like a while ago, to give people an idea. Anyway, there's something else I wanted to get at. Now I can't remember. It was talking on something. I don't know. If it comes to me later, I'll just do another video. So forgive me, I'm all over the place. It's this ADD, ADHD, autism stuff. So, we're just all wired differently. And there is, what is that, autistic mystic guy? I mentioned that in the collective a while ago too, to those that are curious. Anyway, to whom this all concerns. But like I said, I'll reiterate the main points here, like a little thing to wrap it up, a summary of the main points in here. It has to do with an inheritance. It has to do with a house. It has to do with a car. Apparently there's people watching and investigators. Apparently I'm the bad guy, it looks like, in this present situation, but they're not trying to understand what exactly I'm dealing with and faced with. I have already actually mentioned a few times to them, so I've spoken it out loud actually around the grandma and Joe, of the fact that I felt like she'd be better off with basically under the care of somebody else. Yeah, so basically, in other words, like, I'm just being ignored. Yeah, because you're dealing with narcissistic people. They're stuck and set in their ways. And like I said, they like the idea of a healer, but they don't actually want a healer. Yeah, it's just wanting me to be small so they could always project whether prejudices at me or racism or, what is the other thing? Like stupid. I was just supposed to be this little person that's makeshift stupid person, but yet expected to read their minds and expected to impress them. But if I did kind of like this thing where you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Yeah, but it's like, things still didn't stop me from following through and still doing something, doing my part or whatever. Yeah, despite whatever the situation just being awkward and weird and kind of sort of all over the place and somewhat kind of dysfunctional. Yeah, it's like you're just forced to work with the situation because you're stuck in it for whatever reasons. Yeah, what was I trying to say too? Why do I keep losing my train of thought? Main points, readers are trying to keep me Empress in reverse. They like to make it seem like you don't care for yourself, but yet critical on other people. In the actuality, you are still simultaneously taking care of yourself and or have been. The sloth creates the illusion of you not doing things, or you moving slow also creates the illusion of you not taking care of yourself when you do. So yes, people that say something like this, and if they're trying to make it stick to you, they would be genuinely indeed be considered a hater, is correct. And someone trying to just control how you're seen just so they can get content. So they're just focused on getting content and controlling how you're seen, but want to make it appear that they genuinely care about you or other people so they can look like more of the good guy. So, to whom it applies and resonates, like I said, yes, I slowed down on Amazon a lot in comparison to before. Like I said, there's 2 times, there's 4:44 on the clock. There's 2 times where I had a quote unquote dark night of the soul, or was at my darkest point. Um, the one time was when the time I met Joe, which was 2017. The other time was, like I said, before my mother passed away recently. In the past, like, I don't know, so many amount of months to last year or whatever. Because I had expressed that I was concerned about her overextending herself and being a people pleaser and just being going wild with spending and overshowering me with gifts and all this stuff. So I had mentioned that, aren't you, concerned about this or whatever? Aren't you worried about being too giving or too people pleasing to me or helping me out too much? Like, she wasn't concerned. Yeah, though she wasn't. So, like, people were wanting to make me the bad guy then, and they're still trying to make me the bad guy now, but in a different situation. Yeah, but it's like people are just more of set on controlling how you're seen, making you the bad guy, keeping someone empress in reverse, rather than acknowledging you for your entirety, rather than understanding how far you've come in a short amount of time from 2 periods of I guess a downward spiral, so to speak, or chaos. Yeah, versus how far you've come in a short amount of time. Yeah. They're not trying to understand that from an inner child, because you're dealing with people that are more just set on being cutthroat, and basically it looks like people trying to set you up, catch you slipping, frame you, have you arrested, all kinds of stuff, unfortunately. Yeah, instead of seeing the all different sides to a situation and dealing with different people and energies. Yeah. So the other thing is, do a quick summary and finish this up. When people have given me permission to spend recently, and I had talked with Joe again, and he reaffirmed that, yeah, he's like, well, I offered and, yeah, gave you permission. Yeah, because too, it was clarified by Chiron Intuition a while ago in a read, that I was only given 2 pentacles. Yeah, so it's basically like, yes, it is the equivalent in my situation. Granted, the elderly lady saved me from being on the streets, which is true. So it saved me from going into poverty. So, I have to still be respectful and grateful for quote unquote said, old world sort of kind of matriarch figure. Yeah. Even though she's, on the darker end of the spectrum, despite me having to go through all the darkness that was part of myself too. Yeah, I know. It's like Black Widow baby had a baby kind of thing still. Yeah. So that whole black pill, the Messiah black pilled society and whatever thing. Yeah. And Black Star, David Bowie's Black Star, whatever. Despite all that, I have to acknowledge that stuff too. Her basically allowing us to stay here or whatever, and still putting up with us to a degree too or whatever. So, either people, parties are guilty, taking advantage of each other just in different ways, whether it's spending habits, whether it's, overdoing the bell or stuff like that. Yeah, I know. And people be, they're the me mentalities and being like big kids and stuff like that. Yeah, so it is what it is. It's like people are just doing, I guess, the best that they're able to do because they're still who they are as an individual in the end of the day. But yeah, the reason why I've distanced myself, because there's just too much of this feeling of anger and jealousy, and it's only around the old lady, though she thinks it's just coming from me. It's actually coming from her, but I know that she'd rather deny it And number two, she doesn't know about the empath stuff, I guess. Yeah, so it's like two people still have a problem with basically just me, I guess, me as a person, because I'm like intimidating in that Heyoka stuff. So it's like I am well aware of like how I affect people now, I guess, or whatever. Yeah, so this the Wedigo meets Heyoka. People just need to Google that stuff, or INFJ Sentinel, and watch tarot readings, or watch Vachnin, Tracy Marks, Dr. Z, PhD, there's plenty of other teachers too in the collective to be able to understand me or whomever better. It doesn't take much effort, but it does take a little time really to truly see people clearly. Sometimes there's like things you'll only be able to get clarity on from like a specific reader and a specific read at like a specific time. So there's truth in that. And I know things take time, it is what it is. But like I said too, I had offered to give her better milk. I don't know if like one time she took me, it might have actually, I think, took me up on it. But other times she didn't. Another time she didn't, kind of thing. Yeah, she legit, she didn't want to have anything to do with that. So yeah, it kind of like is weird because I've also offered herbal tea because she's constipated, because she's always digging in her butt, hanging over the toilet. Yeah, I know. She doesn't like to wash her hands. Yeah, I know, it's pretty gross. So I've been using, people haven't actually laid out like what's expected of me or anything on paper. So no, there hasn't been like that level of professionalism either. Yeah, it's kind of like just 11 11. It's kind of basically more or less I've just been left up to my own devices, really, pretty much. Yeah. I know TMI, I should have warned people, but yeah. Yeah, I know we gotta get the dogs a new home and what have you, so hopefully we can find good, healthy, nice people, owners to take some of the dogs off our hands, because I know I had mentioned getting rid of quite a bit of the dogs before, but Joe's actually been more stubborn and set in his ways when it comes to all that, I've noticed, when it comes to the dogs. So I was kind of figuring out stuff too, that people were using all kinds of different things to keep me isolated and have control over me, whether and keep me where they want me, so like keeping me small. So you know, yeah, it's been pretty weird. But anyway, to whomever this concerns, like I said, I have offered some different things here and there. I've left out mineral oil, I've mentioned it. I left out coconut oil, I left out a multivitamin thing, but yeah, it's like I can offer stuff. It doesn't mean people will take it. It doesn't mean people want to take it. It may not be the right time. Or people have their hangups with me too, or whatever, for whatever reasons. You got jealousy, being stubborn, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so it's just kind of like, instead of the people communicating like, oh yeah, like they're not in the business, they don't actually care whether they're wasting your time or not. It's more just of that simpleton, me mentality. Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, yeah, INFJ is always the oddball out, but yeah, the Heyoka does have narcissism and psychopathy, so I'm not here to just blow smoke up people's asses and wear a mask perpetually or all kinds of shit. Yeah, I know, because nobody's perfect anyway. But anyway, to whoever needs to hear this stuff, this is another long one.